Welcome everyone to this week's wrap of the week in real estate, where I can tell you, I don't know. Are we Arthur? Are we Martha? I can't keep up with it. 1 minute we're doing private inspections, next we're not. But wait, we are again. So good news there that for vendors who are selling their properties and for buyers that are going to want to be able to get through those same properties. A good outcome for all. This week I can tell you that the experts are predicting that thanks to the stimulus packages recently implemented by the federal government, that we will see an upturn in property markets that will mark the turning point. And a report by PRD Nationwide, it's looked at all the G20 nations and their packages, which were put together to design to bolster their economies and jobs. And per capita, great result for us here in Australia. We've ranked second, only behind Germany, as being the best placed nation to ride out the economic downturn, while as a percentage of our GDP, we ranked third, only behind Germany and Japan. Now, I can also share with you this week that Simon Presley, the head of research at buying agency Propertyology, well, he believes a strong property market will again lead Australia out of this latest corona health crisis. He's saying potentially it'll start as soon as in 6 months' time, so that's good news there. He said that because our credit policies in Australia have been so tight that the quality of loans approved in the past few years were exceptionally high, and that it will greatly minimise the need to sell properties under distressed circumstances. To the numbers though, national residential property listings, well, they rose 3.7% in the month of March, and that coincided with a rise in home values for every capital city in the March quarter. Now, data in from SQM Research, well, it showed that the biggest rise in listings was way up north in Darwin. They rose by 16%, and Sydney, Steak and Kidney, was up by 11%. Collectively, though, the capital cities averaged up in March by 0.7% house rising prices, and units were up by 0.6%. So good news there, all according to SQM Research. Now, do you remember last week I spoke about home loan relief packages, and both CBA and NAB have reported that it is starting to level out. That's the number of customers requesting home loan relief. And in fact, CBA Chief Executive Matt Coman, well, he said that while, yes, they are continuing to receive ongoing and significant demand, they are starting to see the initial signs of a levelling out of requests for help since that initial spike in the last few weeks. Now, in his capacity as chairman of the ABA, the Australian Banking Association, he did further say that it suggested that the different measures put in place by both the federal and state governments, in addition to the measures by the banking industry as a whole, are helping to flatten the curve of demand for such assistance. So that is really, really positive news there. In terms of other news from the banks, ANZ, CBA and Westpac, for the interest-only buyers, and that would impact particularly a lot of our investor clients out there, well, they are also now able to defer their interest-only repayments for up to 6 months. Of course, already home loan customers have been given that opportunity to put in place a deferment of their repayments as well. So good news there. With the repayment holidays being offered by the lenders, a strong banking system and the temporary nature of the virus, it means that our house prices are unlikely to suffer any significant falls. And that's according to CoreLogic's head of research, Tim Lawless. So while he also went on to say that home buying and selling may well stall for some months, likely that property prices would be more insulated. And in fact, Mr. Lawless went further to say that a 10% short-term fall, pretty realistic. Realestate.com.au chief economist Nerida Conisbee, well, her thoughts were that out in the market there are some that have been saying forecasts of a fall of up to 30%. Well, she said that doesn't mean anything. So I think there is a little bit of misinformation at times out there, but I think overall the strong implementation of the measures put in place in the past will see us ride this out quite well, and we will bounce back quite quickly. Now, Rounding out this week, new research confirms that the majority of Australians aged 18 to 34 still aspire to own their own home. The good old Aussie dream. She's alive and well. Now, the research found that 3/4 of the tertiary student respondents considered that home ownership was either A, extremely important, or B, very important. And the study also found that they would ideally like to live within a 6 to 10k radius of the CBD. And of course, well, no secret there, they want to be close to transport and public amenities. Most of the students who responded favoured the price point of $400,000 to $600,000 as a range for their buying, and 41% of those suggesting that price was the greatest barrier. And I think if you're talking about those sort of numbers, you're really, in most cities, going to be limited to apartments, so or maybe even townhouses. And that data was in from economist Dr. Dayaswati Mardiasmo, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, who said that the continued rise in property prices ahead of wages growth had made the traditional notion of home ownership unattainable to many students. And I'd probably go further to say that even with the help debt that they've incurred, well, many of them probably don't have much in the way of deposits. So that certainly has made my area of expertise, which is regional borrowing and buying rather, much more attractive, because of course we're talking about properties in a price point of 150 to 250,000 on strong yields of over 6% in local regional economies that are still growing in value. And again, to round this out, you only have to think about, as a bit of a clue, look at the food bowls around Australia. Where are those economies which are producing lots of food? So I think just watch this space, so to speak. So there's my wrap, folks, for this week. Have yourselves a great weekend. Take care. This is Phil Robertson of Philip Robertson Property saying bye for now.